Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're tackling a myth that weighs heavily on adoptees everywhere. That idea that adoptees must be grateful simply because they were adopted. Now, I'm an infant domestic transracial adoptee, and I'm speaking from experience trying to help other adoptees. This expectation, while often unspoken, creates so much pressure, guilt, and confusion for adoptees. But I want to tell you that gratitude is not a requirement for being adopted. You are allowed to feel anything you feel about your own adoption. That could be gratitude, loss, grief, frustration, or even indifference. In this video, we're going to break down where the myth comes from, why it's harmful, and how adoptees can reclaim their right to feel authentically. Let's dive in. All right, where does the gratitude myth come from? Let's start by understanding where the myth of obligatory gratitude comes from. Number one is societal narratives about adoption. Adoption is often portrayed as a rescue mission, where adopted parents are seen as heroes for saving a child. This narrative creates an unspoken expectation that the adoptees should be endlessly grateful for being saved. Georgia Tann popularized this myth by commodifying adoption, and it still lives on today. Number two is cultural pressure on adoptees. Adoptees are frequently told things like, "You're so lucky you've been adopted. Imagine where you'd be without your adopted parents. You should be grateful you were given a better life." These statements suggest that adoptees owe their parents or society some kind of emotional debt just for existing in a family. Number three is power imbalance in adoption. Because adoptees often feel dependent on their adopted families for love, care, and acceptance, they may suppress negative emotions to avoid seeming ungrateful or disloyal. Now let's talk about why the expectation of gratitude is harmful to adoptees. Number one is it invalidates complex emotions. Adoption is a deeply layered experience that often involves both joy and loss. When adoptees are expected to feel only gratitude, it dismisses other valid emotions like grief, confusion, anger, or curiosity about their origins. Number two is it creates guilt and shame. Adoptees who don't feel grateful 24/7 or at all may internalize guilt and think, "What's wrong with me?" This can lead to shame and self-doubt, making it even harder for them to process their adoption story. Number three is it prevents authentic relationships. When gratitude becomes a requirement, adoptees may feel like they have to hide their true feelings to keep the peace. This prevents open, honest relationships with their adopted families and themselves. Number four, it perpetuates power dynamics. The gratitude narrative reinforces a power imbalance where the adopted parents are positioned as saviors and the adoptees as the lucky one. This dynamic can strip adoptees of agency and autonomy in their own story. Let's redefine gratitude because it's not inherently bad. It's the expectation of gratitude that's harmful. Gratitude is a natural emotion that comes from genuine appreciation, not obligation. In healthy relationships, gratitude flows both ways. Adopted parents can be grateful for their child's presence in their life, and adoptees can feel grateful for the care they receive if and when it's authentic. But gratitude should never do the following: erase an adoptee's feelings of loss, curiosity, or frustration. Be demanded or expected as a payment for being adopted. Silence an adoptee's voice or suppress their need for self-expression. If you're an adoptee struggling with the pressure to feel grateful, here are some ways to start reclaiming your emotional freedom. Number one is validate your own feelings. It's okay to feel gratitude and loss. It's okay to feel anger, indifferent, or joy. All of your feelings are valid and deserve space to exist. Challenge the narrative. If someone says you should be grateful, gently push back with a response like, "I'm grateful for my family, but that doesn't mean I don't have any other feelings about my own adoption." Adoption is very complex, and I'm still figuring out what it means to me. Adoption is very, very personal, deeply personal. Number three is set boundaries. If the expectation of gratitude is coming from your adoptive family, it's okay to set boundaries. For example, "I love and appreciate you, but I also need some space to explore how I feel about my own adoption. Number 4 is find support. Join adoptee-led communities where you can share your story without judgment. Hearing from other adoptees can remind you that you're not alone and that your feelings are valid. Number 5 is practice self-compassion. Give yourself permission to feel all of the emotions that come with being adopted. You don't owe anyone gratitude just for existing in your family. For adopted parents and allies watching this, here's how you can help break the gratitude myth. Number 1 is listen without judgment. When adoptees express feelings of gratitude, resist the urge to dismiss or correct them. Instead, ask open-ended questions and listen with empathy. Number 2 is acknowledge complexity. Recognize that adoption involves gain and loss. Encourage adoptees to explore their feelings without guilt or fear. Number 3 is avoid savior narratives. Shift the focus from being a savior to building relationships based on mutual respect and love. Celebrate authenticity. Number 4, support adoptees in being their full, authentic selves, whatever that looks like. Remember, adoptees don't need to perform gratitude to deserve love and acceptance. Adoptees, you are more than myths and expectations placed on you. You don't owe anyone gratitude for your story or existence of your story. You are allowed to feel everything you feel, and you deserve to live authentically. This is coming from me as an adoptee. I've done so much work on myself. You deserve to live authentically. If this video resonated with you, please share it with somebody you think it might be able to help. And thank you for watching. Remember, your feelings and your voice and your story are valid. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video.